Hey y'all, welcome back. It's another beautiful Thursday in God's Kingdom. And today I want to talk about social media marketing. So, we're going to dive into some of the tips and strategies around social media marketing that are working today and why some of the things that you're doing right now actually aren't working. And we're going to talk about basically some things that you need to do to move people closer to buying from you. And that's what social media marketing is all about in various different ways. You want to focus on moving people closer to buying from you. Okay. And so we're going to talk about the difference between just posting on social media and posting to move people closer to becoming a client, a customer, or buying from you. So if you don't know me, my name is Shanta Prince. I work with women coaches and I help them to turn their expertise into a profitable online empire. And so that goes with helping them to create courses or offers, programs, any way that I can help them to package their expertise and sell it. That's what we do. So most of my clients are finding their customers and clients online as well as how I find mine. So I do have a lot of experience, not just with online marketing, but also with the technology that comes behind marketing and selling, marketing online and selling services online. So today, I want to go into social media, as I said previously. So the first thing is, I feel like this is a really important topic to cover because, first of all, I see a lot of posts every day. I see a lot of social media posts. And so it kind of breaks my heart when I see people posting regularly. They're putting their content out there, they're posting regularly, they're trying to keep up with all the social media trends. And that's another thing that you shouldn't have to worry about, right? Keeping up with social media trends. It's enough going on in the world. Listen, I could barely keep up with my kids' schedule, their extracurricular schedule. So it's hard to try to keep up with these social media trends. But if you do the stuff that I'm going to talk about today, you're going to be just fine. You don't have to worry about chasing after trends and trying to keep up with everything that's going on. Something is changing every single day in social media, right? Who can keep up with all that stuff? Okay, so the first thing about social media marketing. Okay, so let me talk about the first thing that I see. Now, I just want you to know this is not personally directed to anybody specifically. This is something that I'm seeing commonly in our space, in the coaching, mentorship, consulting space. The first thing that I'm seeing is some people are really amazing at posting, but they're great at posting encouraging and motivational stuff, which is wonderful because I do a lot of that as well. But the thing is, when I work with my clients, I show them how to go beyond just posting a feel good post. Now, if you go to my Facebook page or any of my profiles, you'll probably see, especially on my Facebook business page, you'll probably see a lot of motivational and inspirational posts. So I'm not against that. As a matter of fact, with my clients, I give them 300 different motivational and inspirational posts that they can use for themselves. Like they take it, they put it in their own words, and they post away. So I don't want you to think I'm against posting motivational stuff, but I want you to understand that that is not what moves the needle when it comes to selling or when it comes to closing that next sale. Yes, people are going to feel inspired, they're going to feel motivated, but are they going to buy from you? That's the thing. At the end of the day, are they going to buy from you? And you want, when you're posting, you want to post things that are, hey, Renee, you want to post in a way that's moving somebody closer to becoming a paying customer or client. And so, what I'm seeing across the board is lots of people are really great at posting the motivational, the feel good stuff. But at the end of the day, that's not moving anybody to buy. Okay. Yes, you want to inspire your people because we want to feel good. Like, for example, when I go shopping in the stores, I have to be careful because if the music is good, then I probably will spend more money. And they know that. And that's why some stores you go into, they play certain types of music, upbeat music, happy music to get you in a happy mood. So you end up spending more money. And I found myself doing that sometimes. I'm like, oh, I like this song. Oh, this is a great song. Oh, I remember this song. And so I'm in the store listening to the music, but I'm also like shopping. So people do buy when they feel good. However, that's not enough to move them in our space to actually wanting to buy from you. So when I talk about posting beyond just the motivational, inspirational stuff, I teach my clients on how to actually build a brand through their social media posts. Renee says good music. Where Right. So you with me. So you get what I'm saying with that music. They try to get you every single time with that music. And I'm like, they know exactly what they're doing. So so when you post and you go beyond like the motivational, inspirational post, I'm going to talk about how to do that today. Even when I teach my clients how to create their social media posts, I go into detail about the different techniques, the different strategies that you can use. And it's not just, it's not like a gimmick or anything like that. It's just a strategic way to lay out your content in a way that draws people in. And that's what you want to do, right? When you make a social media post, the first line, the only job that the first line of your post has is to get them to keep reading, right? That first line is going to get other people to get the people that you're posting to read the rest of the post. And so with that in mind, there's some strategic ways to lay out your content. So let me talk about one thing that you need when you're posting on brand, your brand reputation, right? You want to become known for the thing that you do. And the way that you do that is you claim your spot in the minds of your ideal clients. And the way you claim your spot is by posting regularly in a way that's building your brand. And in order to do that, you got to go beyond just the inspirational feel good posts. Okay. So here's the thing. Number one, you want to post in a way that builds authority. Okay. When you build authority, authority is the power to influence, right? So when you build authority, then the things you say and the videos and the content that you put out, that has the power to impact people's lives, right? Authority is directly tied to your ability to impact the people in your audience. And the way that you build authority is by posting certain types of content. So I'll give you an example. If you post how to do something, right? How to, how to get the most you want out of this holiday season, how to find your next 5 clients, how to create an exercise routine, anything, whatever is in your niche, whatever it is that you do. When you post on how to do something, that builds instant authority because you're telling someone how to do something that you know how to do that maybe they don't know how to do yet. And so that builds instant authority in their minds because you're giving them some new information. Now, you can't, just like you can't have all inspirational, you don't want to have all how to either, right? So you want to be able to find balance. You want to have some how to information because that builds authority, right? You also want to have your motivational, inspirational stuff sprinkled in there. But like I said, what I'm saying is some people all they have is motivational and inspirational content. That's it. They don't have any authority building content like how to do something. They don't have any information on things that are happening currently, and we're going to go into that. We're going to go into what's happening, what's going on currently, and how you can stay relevant with your audience. So you can keep your inspirational content, but sprinkle some authority building content throughout as well. So you don't want to have all how to. You don't want to have all inspirational either. So when you're posting, when you're telling somebody how to do something, in their minds, you are an instant authority. When I see somebody post a good recipe, or if I see somebody post a good baking tip or a good business tip or something that I didn't know, in my mind, I'm like, oh, this person, I want to connect with this person because they're giving some good content. And so another thing that happens too, you guys, when people go to your social media platforms, if you have what I call it stickiness, right? If you have that sticking power, you have a profile that has a lot of content on there that people are interested in, right? So what I do before I follow somebody, I'll see that initial post and then I'll go to their page. And then I'm like, oh, there's another one. Oh, that was really good. I didn't know that either. And so once I see a consistent library of things that are helping me or giving me some great tips, I give that person a follow. The thing is, most people who are breaking out or just getting started, they don't have a library of content. This is why it's so important for you to start. If you haven't been posting authority building content, or if you've only been doing inspirational type content, this is your look. This is your sign to go ahead and start having some balance in your posts. Because think about it right now. If you start posting, once a day from now all the way up through January, you have weeks of content that people can scroll through and say, you know what? I want to follow her. I want to follow him. This is some great stuff. Okay. So authority building content is when you're telling somebody how to do something. It's establishing you as an authority. There are other ways. This is just one example, right? How to information is one way to build authority. Another way to build authority, and this is very powerful, another way to make your posts in a way that build authority is if you can speak to the differences between how you do things versus how things are being done in your niche. So let me give you an example. One thing that people in my space like to do is they like to send people through a funnel, and that's how a lot of people like to get clients. They like to send people through a funnel, an automated funnel. We'll put it that way. And so let me explain, just in case you're like, girl, what is a funnel? So a funnel is basically a process. It's an automated process that people go through to become a paying client. And basically, what a funnel could look like, it could look like you clicking on something, and you once I explain it, you're probably going to understand what I mean. You click on this link because there's this free masterclass. You click on the link, then you go, you put your email address in, and then you go to a page, and then there's a recording, a video recording that somebody pre-recorded, and they're teaching you something. And then toward the end of that lesson, a button pops up inviting you to come join their program. Most of the time, some people may invite you to get on a call, which is great. Some people may put the link to the direct page, sales page for you to join their program, and that's okay too. So a lot of people like to get clients like that, and I don't see anything wrong with that. However, I do believe that we should still be talking to people. Okay, so that's one thing in my space that I could talk about. I could talk about how most people prefer to send all of their leads through a funnel, and I prefer to talk to people. And then I could talk about the benefits of actually talking to people. You get to know your client, you get to see if you're a good fit for working with that person. Your client feels the love when you take the time out to talk to them. For me, I have a hard time understanding why people don't want to talk to their potential clients. Now, listen, I'm all for funnels. I actually build funnels. I love a good funnel. However, even when you see my funnels running, I'm better believe I'm still talking to my people, right? So I may have an automated funnel over here running people through it, but I still engage with my audience on a regular basis. Let me tell you, some people prefer not to engage at all. They would just rather send everybody through that funnel. So if I made a post about that, that instantly builds authority because I'm talking about, well, when I work with my clients, I show them how to do, they know how to do things in an automated way, but they also know how to do things organically. They know how to close a sale. My clients know how to close a sale, whether they're in person, they know how to close a sale in a launch, they know how to close a sale over the phone. We want to be able to close a sale anywhere, anytime, any place, right? Not just through funnels. And so if I talk about that, that builds instant authority. So if you're speaking to the differentiation between how you're doing things versus how the people in your space are doing things, I'm pretty sure if you thought about it, you could probably come up with several things that you're seeing happening in your niche, in your space, that you just don't agree with. Okay. If you talk about those things, guess what happens? You start drawing people who feel the same way you do. You start drawing people who agree. Okay. So the other way that you can go beyond just the inspirational posts on social media is by telling stories. One of the things that I really enjoy doing is telling little stories and talking about how those things relate to what I'm doing right now. Stories work so well, you guys, because we all love a good story. As a matter of fact, there was someone told a story. I can't remember exactly all the details, but I do remember being on Instagram and somebody told a story about something, but she didn't finish it. Like we didn't get the outcome because it was still unfolding. Listen, I was so like invested in this story. Like I was really, really close to messaging her saying, listen, what happened? I need to know what happened, right? She got me hooked. I'm in, I'm invested. I want to know the outcome. But I'm just saying that to say, you guys, there's power in telling a story. And there's a strategy that I teach with my clients. I teach them how to start their post off in the middle of the story because that's what grabs people in. If you grab somebody in the middle of the story, the first thing that their mind is going to say is, oh, I need to see the outcome. Like what happened, right? And remember when I told you the first line of that post, the job of that first line is to get people to read the rest of the post. So if I can start out in the middle of the story and get people in, like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? Or what? Listen, y'all know that people are nosy by nature. Okay, most of us are just nosy and we can't help it, right? So what you can do as a marketer is pull on the fact that people are nosy by nature. If you post something, they're going to want to see the outcome, right? So when I work with my clients, one of the things that we focus on is, okay, start in the middle of the story. And then finish the story and then give them a call to action. Because if you start in the middle of the story, you better believe they're going to be reading until the end. I'm one of those people, listen, I'm very serious about like the outcome. I'm invested, right? If I watch a movie and the movie doesn't end right, or if I'm still left with questions, I'm salty because I'm like, you know what? I just wasted an hour and a half. I could have been reading a book. I could have been doing this. I could have been doing that. I think of all the things that I could have done besides watching something that didn't give me closure, that didn't give me an outcome. Okay, so telling stories about your life, how you arrived to where you are, telling stories about where you were before things started to change. For example, one of my clients, she's huge on health and wellness and helping women to avoid burnout. But she talks about how she was working a job and she was so burnt out that it was affecting her health. Guess what happens when she tells that story? Somebody who's working a full-time job and that job is draining them and they feel burnt out, somebody is relating to her through her story. Somebody is reading that post and saying, oh my goodness, this is where I am right now. And guess what happens? They're leaning into her because they want to see how she got through that, right? They want to know, how did she overcome that? And most likely they're going to want her help in doing it. Okay. This is what I mean by like posting in a way that gets people closer to buying from you instead of just posting just inspirational and motivational things. So when you tell stories, it helps people to get an understanding of your brand, an understanding of who you are, why you're wired the way you're wired, and why you're qualified to help them. You guys, I know it's so easy to think that you need 20,000 degrees to feel qualified to help somebody, but you don't, right? If that person is connected to you enough, they've seen enough of your content, they will be interested in buying from you. And here's another thing, you guys. Sometimes it takes people 3 months, 6 months, 9 months to be ready to buy from you, right? So if you're that person who you post for a week and then you fall off because you're like, oh, it's not doing anything. It absolutely is, you guys. It just takes time of you being consistent with it. It absolutely does make a difference. Okay. So you're posting. So we're talking about like posting in a way that's building your brand, going beyond just the inspirational, motivational posts, and giving people a full view of what your brand is. What is it like to work with you? Okay. Another thing too is posting um, your client stories. And if you don't have any client stories, you can post how you were able to use the strategies that you teach to overcome specific things. So, for example, if you teach people how to avoid burnout because you were able to overcome burnout and turn your life around, then that's, you can use that as an example or as a testimonial. In essence, I'm saying you could be your own testimonial. Okay. So let's talk about another way to post in a way that gets people closer to buying, and that is posting relevant content. And what I mean by relevant means, an example of a relevant post is something that your audience is experiencing right now, or some information that they need right now, or talking about things that are happening right now. For example, one of my clients works with people who are trying to get out of debt. They're trying to prepare for retirement. And so we talked about how she can use what's going on right now and talk about those things. For example, there's so many companies that are laying off right now. So she could take that information and talk about that, because that's relevant information right now. If a person is preparing for retirement and they're getting laid off, or they have a fear of getting laid off, she can talk about that and they're going to be tuned in because the information is relevant to them. Renee says this is good. Thank you, Renee. So you want to think about, okay, what can I talk about right now that's relevant? One time I had maybe about 5 or 6 of my clients on in our session, and I was like, listen, every one of you guys have something that you can talk about right now that's relevant, right? There's so many things. Even if you just took one thing that's happening in the world right now, you could spin it to fit what you do. For example, we could talk about the layoffs that I just brought up, right? If you let's say you work in the mental health and wellness space, and you want to talk about how so many different layoffs are happening, you could talk about the impact that has on people's mental health, right? And you could come from that angle and say, hey, listen, I know that there's a lot of fear and anxiety around the fear of a recession or the fear of being laid off. Let's talk about how you can cope with that, right? If you help people to get out of debt, you can talk about, you can use the same topic and come from how what you talk about. So you could say, okay, so I know that there's a lot of financial concerns around the possibility of being laid off, or the possibility of your retirement being derailed. Let's talk about 10 different ways you can stay on track for your retirement, regardless of what the economy is doing, right? So y'all see how you could take like any topic and like spin it to come from your expertise. You are the expert, right? When something happens, we're looking to the experts for what we're supposed to do, right? So if you help people with money, listen, we're looking to you to figure out, okay, if there's a recession coming, what are we going to do? Right? You are the expert. And when you talk about stuff that's happening right now, guess what happens? Your audience starts to see you as such. Because the problem is, many of us have all of these knowledge. You got this knowledge, you got all of these amazing gifts, but your audience doesn't know it yet because you're only posting inspirational, motivational stuff. They don't know how brilliant you are because they just know that they feel great when they come to your page. They feel good, like, oh, that was good. That made me feel great. Now I think I can go and conquer this mountain right now. Yes, we want them to feel that, but we want them to get a feel for your brand and who you are and what you can do, how you can impact their lives. Okay. So I want you to think about this week as you're going about with your business. What type of things can you talk about? What type of things can you post about to build authority, to talk about how you do things or how you teach things differently? What kind of stories can you tell? If you need examples, just you can go to my personal profile or my Facebook page, and you'll see examples of how I tell stories. And my stories do very well. People like to read stories, so they get into the stories and they usually perform very well. But there's a way that you lay it out to get people invested. Okay, so if you need examples, just go to my profiles. Okay, you can even do this on LinkedIn as well. If you're connected to me on LinkedIn, you can go and look through some of the examples of how I tell stories. So think about, what kind of stories can you tell that are relevant right now, or that have something to do with why you are the way that you are, or why you do what you do. I'm pretty sure if you really thought about it, on the surface, you may feel like, well, I don't have any stories. But if you really thought about it, you'd be surprised at how much you can talk about. The other day, I told a story about how when I was in the Navy, I I wanted this position, and one of my bosses just straight up told me to my face. He was like, "I'm not going to pick you for the position, because the other candidate is more knowledgeable than you." And I talked about how it stung, for a minute. And I was just like, "Oh my goodness, like that really hurt." It was an ouch moment, like it stung a little bit. But at the same time, I was really thankful because I'm like, okay, now I know what my next move is going to be. Like, now I know what to do next. Since I know he's not going to pick me, this one is more knowledgeable. My next step was, okay, so I need to show on paper that I'm more knowledgeable than he is, right? And so I went and I trained, and I earned a qualification that I knew he didn't have. So that put me ahead of him, because now I got this qualification on paper that you don't have. So now it puts me in a lead to get a position, and then I ended up getting a position. So that's, your stories don't have to be all like drawn out and all fancy. They could be very simple stories that everyday people can relate to. And guess what? People did relate to it, because people were like, listen, I'm going through something right now. I need this. Or you know what? My cousin needs this, or my son needs this information. I'm going to share this information with him. So think about what kind of stories you can tell, no matter how small they are. Stories relate, people relate to stories, right? And this is why when you see in the scriptures, you see Jesus telling stories everywhere he goes. He's giving them parables because he knows they can relate to this. I'm using stuff that you understand, so you can understand a new concept. I'm teaching you a new concept through stuff that you already understand, right? And so when I'm teaching my son something, I'm using something that he already understands, right? I may use, he takes Taekwondo, so I may use Taekwondo as an example, or I may use a situation that he understands, like he loves trains, so I may be able to use an example from trains to get him to understand a new concept. This is what your stories do, and even when You may be talking about something that maybe they don't understand. When you put that story in there, it clicks like, oh, now I get it. Let me tell you, a lot of the people that I buy from, I know a lot. I feel like I know a lot about them because of their stories. Like I know where they used to work before they do, before they started doing what they do now. I know some of the struggles that they went through. As a matter of fact, those are things that drew me to them, right? So you want to have think about what kind of stories. If you are up for the challenge, I want you to think about this week. What are 10 things that you with 10 stories that you can talk about? 10 stories that you can tell. Not they don't have to be like they don't have to be novels. They can be short and sweet stories that you can talk about that you can relate to your audience, right? What are 10 stories you can tell? If you think about that this week, that's 10 different posts that you got laid out. And you don't have to post them all, in a row, but you've got 10 things that you can post on social media, 10 different topics that you can speak about on social media. And guess what happens? You can have things that spins off of your stories. This is how people create, you guys. They create based on their life. And this is what the beautiful thing about being in this space is that you don't have to be anybody who you're not. You can create out of who you already are, right? People buy into you and your stories and your energy and your vision and all of those things, right? So you can totally be yourself and create awesome things all from your story. And then finally, we talk about just staying relevant. What are some of the things that you can talk about that are going on right now in the world that you can talk about and provide some insight to your audience about? Okay. All right, you guys. So this has been awesome. I'm doing so, listen, every week I get so proud of myself because I'm like, hey, it's only, listen, we've been live for 27 minutes. So I told you guys I've been working so hard and not going for the going for a whole hour. I'll save that for when I do my launches, but I try to get you the information quickly because I know some of you are busy. Everybody's preparing for Christmas. As a matter of fact, I'm out running errands. That's why I got my little sweatshirt on, my navy sweatshirt on because I'm out running errands. And so I've been working hard to make sure you guys get the information in a way that's short and sweet so you can keep on going about your day. Merry Christmas to those of you who are celebrating Christmas. And I hope it's a wonderful one for you. Y'all, I don't even know. Let me see. How many days do we have? I think my daughter told me yesterday we had 12 days until Christmas. Every time I pick my kids up from school, they tell me how many days, how many days we have left until Christmas. Like, I know, but I don't know the exact date, but they remind me every single day. So I was just trying to see how many days that we have until Christmas. If you know me, you know this is my favorite time of the year. So I've been really having a great time, just kind of taking it easy, but also focused and getting my mind ready for the next year. So Merry Christmas to you. And I will see y'all back here next week, same time, same place. And we'll continue talking about branding and talking about more of what you can be looking forward to for your business for 2024. Some things that you can put in place so you can start 2024 off on the right foot. Start 2024 off strong. Okay. All right. So y'all have a beautiful Thursday and an awesome weekend. And I'll see you next week.